Howdy, all you delicious people! I'm here today to review Nightbreed. So, I love supernatural films, and this movie can also be debated as like a superhero movie in some ways. This probably goes on and reminds me of a lot of like the Marvel Inhumans characters, where they, of course, would go on and get to a certain age and they would have this like Terrigen mist thing come in, and they would uh, start to gain their powers and become the heroes that they are meant to be. Whereas in this movie, we have these people who are all consistently dreaming about making their way to Midian. And these people who are to dream this hard enough, who want this hard enough, will get there and then eventually go on to become one of the Nightbreed, as long as they are to be worthy. But so, while that is all good and well, and this faction or group of thing is going on within this film, and eventually this is to lead to an all-out war between the humans and the Nightbreed, there are two other stories that are actually going on in this movie as well. So we have Decker's story, and we have Laurie and Boone's story. Mainly Boone's story, but Laurie has some time in the sun here also. So Decker's story, of course, is that he is a serial killer, and he is this therapist who is going on and trying to pin all of his murders on his patients, and coming to find out that that patient is going to end up being Boone. And it is kind of weird because it seems that Boone had seemingly gone on to be cured of whatever his illness was, but rationally, uh, Decker is to just not let that go. So, Boone, on his travels, is to find that he is getting pinned for all these murders and run away, of course. And when running away, realizing that the only place that he ever only wants to go is Midian, so he has to figure out a way to get there and then figure out a way to become the Nightbreed. And when eventually going on and doing that, it seems that Boone may go on and be for the Nightbreed, like the Anakin Skywalker of the Nightbreed, where they can say that he is like the chosen one, but then maybe also he is the one to bring an end to the Nightbreed. And like it's all about like what prophecy you're really willing to read into and what have you for the way that this story just kind of plays out the way it does. So within this story, there's a lot of names that are very hard to pronounce. There's a lot of characters that I may not have thoroughly went through and known all of their names, and and I might just luckily be able to figure them out while I'm talking through this review. So kind of bear with me when eventually I get into actual spoilers and talk about this whole entire film. Also, like I think there's going to be a way of me trying to like condense this movie as much as possible while I get into spoilers. Like the whole war battle that happens between the humans and the Nightbreed, I may have to figure out a way to just kind of condense a lot of that. Because like yeah, it would be cool to go through every bit and piece and whatever, but yeah, it's a lot. And plus also this movie is 2 hours in length. So, uh with that said, beyond this movie just being very long-winded, I enjoyed it. I really liked it. I thought it was a good film. And fortunately, I'm going to say fortunately, there also is a comic book about the Nightbreed, which I'm like, okay, cool. So I hope that that comic book did really well to either um, be similar to the story of this movie or to go on and maybe continue the story. I don't know exactly is going on in the comic books because I never read any of them. Maybe whoever is to be a Nightbreed expert, because I'm sure there are people that exist out there that are to be weirdly Nightbreed experts. Let me know in the comments below what the Nightbreed comic book is, and plus also that could be a thing for others to know as well through the comments. But also, where can you go on and watch said Nightbreed? Especially if you are to watch the director's cut, you can check this out on Tubi, Tubi. It is a free way that you can see a movie for absolutely free, and at least it's the more common one, besides the other things that I'm going to also recommend you here. There are two other apps I will dare in fact mention to you that I've used for a fairly long time. And these two are going to be, of course, one, an app called Zelifonic, Zelivonic, as well as also another app called Moopsy, Moopzzi. So, with that said, I would recommend this movie. I feel that there is so many great visual things going on with this film. Also, I think this movie really does have potential to be something somewhere down the line. I would love for it to eventually go on and be a show or a video game somewhere down the line, like some other medium or whatever, and not be copy and paste just exactly like this original film. Um, but hey, at the end of the day, also, like, who knows? Like, they can go into any avenue of trying to do something with Nightbreed. But anyways, this movie can also remind me of a number of just the secondary or whatever knockoff X-Men kind of movies and shows and whatever they did. Where we had like Mutant X and The Gifted and all these other weird goofy titles. And because it kind of feels like a superhero thing. But so with that said, let's go on and let's push into spoilers about this so I can call this a review at the end of the day. So, with that said, I'm going to go on and I'm going to pause here and get everything out as far as cast list and whatever that I need to proceed to talk about this film. With that said, also, I'm probably going to pause here so that way I can just take a break to just kind of get into because I was going to go on and do this whole video and then it just died. So I had to do this whole thing over. So I was like an hour and change in, and then it died. So I was like, great, my tablet just shut off. So I'm like, okay, so that had me lose all the footage and everything of prior video. So I just need a second here to just reboot myself. So I don't think there's anything else that I wanted to go on and say about Nightbreed. I think wildly, I think I said everything that I wanted to say in this early portion of thing. I'm sure I'm probably no, like I don't remember anything else that I said here, so it's better to just push on to the spoiler. So it is spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time you to spoil this movie. Let me know in the comments below what is to be your favorite supernatural film, and maybe it is Nightbreed. Maybe you were to go on and uh, you are to uh, like these kinds of films, and maybe you have a one in mind. Yeah, I'm gonna pause here. Let's get the notes and everything out, and we'll be back in a second. All right, let's go into full on spoilers. Spoiler time, everybody. So, man, I'm sure a lot of people after this point, after seeing other videos recently, I'm like, man, you should get your eyes checked. Man, you're going into those glasses like just all the time in every one of these videos. Well, like this one, I actually like was thinking I could get this done early, and then it just got very delayed. So yeah, so here's why I'm wearing glasses today. So in the very beginning of this movie, we have Shuna, who is to be like the porcupine Nightbreed character, and we have Devil Lude, that is to be kind of like the Blue Devil, and a number of other Nightbreed characters that are within this POV shot. That the POV person is supposed to be Boone because he's having this dream about him being at Midian, dreaming about him seemingly running around with these Nightbreed members. So Boone then wakes up with Laurie next to him, and Laurie tells Boone about how there's been consistent phone calls of Decker trying to get in touch with Boone, and Boone's like, "Man, it's been a while since I've talked to him. Like, what has it been like a couple months?" So Laurie is talking to Boone. It's like, you know what? Like, how about we get out of Calgary? Like, how about we get out of Canada? Because of course this movie was filmed in Canada. A lot of the times the CW stuff gets shot in Vancouver, so obviously it's actually good that they actually said it was shot in Canada, because that's probably legitimately where it got shot at, but probably not where they're saying it is. Who knows? It would have been funny if they would have said that it was shot in Canada and they didn't shoot there. That would actually be hilarious. If I was completely wrong. So Laurie again is talking to Boone here, and they're like, "Hey, how about we get away? We go on vacation. I got this one last gig. After that, like, let's just go on and let's just run away together. Like, we won't have anything tying to us. We won't have like these jobs, or uh, like we won't have these bad dreams." And Boone is like, "Well, yeah, like if anything, like the dreams aren't getting any worse anymore. They're actually getting pretty good." So fast forward to then Boone is getting a phone call after he's in the shower. So because he's all wet, maybe he was just sweaty and whatever. Anyways, so Boone, Decker having a phone call, and they're reminiscing about good old times. Yeah, it's been like 4 months since the last time we talked. Yeah, all right, okay. Well, like, uh, like, what do you need from me? So Decker is turning to Boone and saying, like, well, hey, like, I really need you to come back into the office. And Boone is like, well, like, it seems like the way that you're talking, it seems rather urgent. Like, well, I can't tonight. And so Decker's like, well, tomorrow then. And so Boone is like, okay, like, what's going on here? So as they hang up, we have Decker who's like, well, yeah, like, Boone, hopefully you get back to me for the best of our souls. So we then turn to this family who I believe their names are McDonald's, bizarrely. I don't know why they were called that, but I'm looking at the Google search of character names. Like, I think their names was McDonald's, because the spelling wasn't 100%ly done, but it looked like that. So this family's going on, and the wife and the husband are on this recliner, and they're having a good old fun time. The wife is laughing at the husband, who is to go on and be fine that the two of them are fat. He's happy that he's fat and that she's fat, and they're having a good old chuckle. It seems very weird, a bit of dialogue here, but it's true. That's what they said. So all of this is a transition to here to have the wife make her way to the refrigerator to make a meal, it seems. What that meal exactly is, I'm assuming it's like fries or something. I don't know. If anybody who's to rewatch this film, you could tell me exactly what that meal was from the bag or whatever that she pulled out. So, also before the wife makes her way to the fridge, she spots her kid who's kind of just up late and like, "Hey kid, what's going on?" "Oh, I got a little scared because I saw a bad guy." "Oh, okay, well, go back to bed." Whatever. You just got scared. So the mother makes her way to the fridge, opens up the fridge, pulls something out, and as she closes the door, here comes in murderous Decker here. I don't know what his opposite persona uh, name is, but uh, I think that his name was just Decker. Uh, they didn't have where like Boone has like Cabal and Decker has a secondary name. So if anything, I probably would have just called him Skinhead or or some other kind of thing that kind of relates to the eyes of this mask. Uh, button eyes. I don't know. Anyways, so Decker goes on and slices into this mother, and she goes on to then make like a pretty good bang of fall, and then Decker makes his way into the room that the husband is in, turns out one of the lights, and it seems like the husband is just kind of building to expecting there to be something happen. Like it seems like he's bracing himself. It's very weird. If you look back at the footage, it looks like he's like waiting for him to get killed. It's very strange. So like because he doesn't ask his wife anything, he's just like, well, I'm just gonna just keep looking at this one spot and just do nothing. Hopefully nothing happens to me. So Slice through the float through the float through the throat this guy gets. And so Decker makes his way to the little kid to where we don't see him get killed. We assume something happened off camera. So Boone is at his repair shop. He is fixing cars, he's welding, and one of his associates tells Boone, "Hey, you have a visitor." It ends up being Lori. What a shocker! Like I thought it would have been Decker because, like, hey, like maybe we should go on and have that session, huh? So, but no, it's Lori. So Lori and Boone are just like they are just like you can obviously tell that they're very just passionate for one another as Boone is smothering Lori with all of these kisses just all over the goddamn face. Just like, and he's already gone on to say, like, well, yeah, like, I probably shouldn't kiss you because I'm all dirty and sweaty. And, like, obviously, like, you probably don't want to get kissed 30 times in the face, like, all over. But hey, I get it. It's like, it's just kind of like this cute little. But anyway, it's just kind of also very weird. So Lori's going on and reminding Boone, it's like, well, hey, I have this one gig and then we're out of here. It's like, all right, cool. So Boone makes his way to Decker, and so Decker is to remind Boone about the times that they had talked in the past, bringing up Midian and how Boone had kind of heard about Midian from friends, but then kind of rolled it into like he himself wanting to go on and figure out where Midian is, and thinking within his head he knows something about Midian. To where when Decker kind of gets back to the recordings, it seems that he is to find out a little bit more about Midian uh, through Boone here. So Decker is to talk about also in Boone's past how he had fantasized about killing certain people, and Decker then is to like poetically say it's like, well, like I guess what had manifested in the mind may have gone on to become skin and bone here. And Decker is to toss a bunch of photos onto the table and say that he had been visited by some police officers, and they had asked him if there is to be anybody that he knew that could have gone on and done any of these murders. And Decker is to point out that it must be Boone, just because all of these are to match certain conversations that him and Decker had had in the past. So Decker is telling Boone, hey, I'm going to give you 24 hours and let you turn yourself into the authorities. But then after that, like, hey, man, like, you're on the chopping block. So Decker is to also give Boone medication that will come to find is not lithiums, it's to be hallucination or hallucinogenics. So thanks, Decker, for that. Because of course that's what Decker would give him. Because like, hey man, I want to pin all these murders on this guy, and I want to hope that he's gonna go on and just accidentally just murder himself, so Decker can get off the hook at all these murders because he has to pin it on somebody. So Boone goes home, and you would think he would just start packing all his and he's like, dude, I'm bailing, I'm getting out of here, I'm gonna find Midian. No, he just grabs all of his stuff, all these photos, and all these things, and he lights them on fire on the ground of this room. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, he just burns all this stuff on the ground and he's watching it. And his eyes roll in the back of his head. He's becoming Undertaker. He's going to rest in peace here pretty soon. And the hallucinations are just running wild as Boone is watching his own self and Lori having some intimate moments with one another. And Boone then rushes to the shower to try to shake off this whole hallucination. So Laurie's having her performance that Boone tries to make it to, and he makes it to her performance, but he is struggling. He again is like just straight up Undertaker, rest in peace. His eyes are rolling in the back of his head, and he's just like, man, like I am struggling. And so while Laurie's singing about a caveman and a brave man and a guy named Johnny, it's not Boone, it's not Aaron. So Boone leaves because, of course, he's hallucinating, and Laurie is like, "Okay, where did he go? All right, well, I got to figure out. Maybe he was. Is he backstage? No, he's not backstage. Okay, well, so Laurie goes to her place, calls Boone. It's like, well, I guess you're not here, so I guess I'll leave him a little bit of a message. So Boone is just walking the streets of Canada, and he is flipping and tripping, and he's flipping his way to a truck that is seemingly driving along the road as Boone is having these flashes of course, the murder scenes, photos that he had seen with Decker. So Boone makes his way to the hospital as he's being checked on by this doctor, and immediately they go on and find Boone's prescription and are saying that, well, hey, those aren't lithium uh, things that you're getting there. You're getting hallucinogens. And I'm like, man, this is Scarecrow. This is Batman Scarecrow. I just recently gone on and rewatched the last two Dark Knight movies, and I've already gone on and reviewed the Dark Knight. At some point, I should probably go on and review Dark Knight Rises, but that might not be a thing that I do soon. Even though I've recently rewatched it, it probably won't be a thing that I could justify actually reviewing, because I'm sure it probably won't do well. But anyways, so Boone grabs a bed in the hospital to then be met by Narcissus, who I'm trying to figure out how to not struggle saying this guy's name through this entire review, because the way it's just weirdly spelled, I'm like, Narcissist? Narcissist? I'm going to have a problem here. So whenever I say either one of those names, realize it's this Narcissus guy. He's very weird, and he is to soon be ripping his skin off of his skull. So we'll get to that fairly soon. So Boone talks to Narcissus, and he's talking about how he is going to make it to Midian. And Boone is like, oh, well, you know where Midian is? And so Narcissus is like, well, yeah, like, if I tell you where to go, like, will you take me there? Like, is this a test? And Boone is like, yeah, oh, whatever, like, just tell me where it is. So the guy tells him where Midian is, and then he goes on to just start cutting into his head because he's an actor and he's going to give uh, Boone his true face. So Narcissus whips out these finger blades and he starts cutting into his skull. So Boone, because this guy is effing crazy, decides, you know, I'm gonna just go on and leave here. And he bumps into Decker, and so Decker and Joyce, this inspector guy, are talking to this doctor, and the doctor is saying how Narcissus is crazed and he's probably gonna do himself in, let's say. So, but also it's like, well, hey, like what was going on? It's like, well, obviously Boone was talking to this guy, and so Decker goes to find Narcissus and tortures him to find out what information he could get off of him to also try and figure out where Midian is. So Boone is on the road again. He's going on to find Midian. He wants to find all of his Nightbreed friends because that's why he's on the road again. So Boone makes his way to this graveyard that is to be Minion, and makes his way through this gate, realizes like, well, hey, like, I got to Midian, but it's during the day, so guess what? I should probably wait till nightfall, so I'm just gonna find a shady spot and take a little nap. So Boone ends up getting woken up by this Boston Terrier. I know that this is a Boston Terrier dog because I at one point wanted to get a Boston Terrier dog because I thought that they were interesting looking. But I also liked the puppy versions of the Boston Terrier. So I hope that I could have gotten one at a fairly young age. But anyways, uh, I also like pit bulls, but like that's just me, just being weird. Uh, as long as the pit bulls are nice and behaved and whatever, like, and also as long as they're not fat. But I'm sure they probably get fat regardless. Anyways, my tangent here. I'm sure you're probably gonna get a lot of them. So, this Boston Terrier ended up getting collected by Onaka. The guy at one point, the narcissist calls a sailor, and this guy has some weird, strange tattoos. He's very tribal looking. So, I guess because like he's a part of the tribe of the moon, whatever that means. So Boone, after going on and meeting up with Onaka, we then have him being face to face with uh Kinski and Peliquin. If I'm saying that right. Peliquin. Alright. So Peliquin wants to go on and bite into Boone so that way he can get meat. Because this guy is not going to become a member of the Nightbreed. Even though Boone is to say, it's like, well, hey, I've killed people. And Peliquin is looking at Boone. It's like, dude, you've never killed people. Like, I can taste your blood and I can see that you didn't kill anybody. Like, whatever you're saying is all lies. So, Boone is then, I guess, realizing, like, well, I guess it might be true that I never did go on and kill these people like I thought I did, or as somebody assumed that I thought I did, because maybe I'm just that crazy of a person, but maybe I didn't. So, but Boone still wants to go and become a Nightbreed member because he really just wants the Dakota ring. I don't know. So, Peliquin bites Boone on the shoulder because he just wants himself some meat. And he's freaking hungry. He wants to feed the beast because these guys are cannibals and they love blood. So they just want some of that man. So Peliquin bites into Boone here, and then uh Kinski is like, well, hey, like I'm gonna figure out a way for like Boone to get away here because in all honesty, what Peliquin is trying to do is against our laws. So I should really go on and figure out a way for him to just skedaddle out of here. And so Kinski tells Boone how to leave this area, and then Kinski stops Peliquin from getting to this guy. It's like, well, hey, he's already left. He's already left. He's already out of here. Like you won't get to him. It's against our laws. This and that. And Peliquin is just all like f the laws. So now the next maneuver is to have Boone be met with Decker and Joyce and a bunch of other cops. So Decker and Boone have this conversation between one another, and Boone is like, "Yeah, I never killed any of those people," and Decker is like, "Yeah, I believe you because you didn't kill any of those people," and Decker ends up turning to the authorities and saying, "He has a gun!" And so they blast into him and definitely make sure that this guy is freaking dead. So Boone falls backward and is just be like, I'm dead. I'm definitely dead. I'm not going to come back at some point in this movie because I'm the main character of this film. I'm not going to resurrect myself like Crow's Salvation. If you guys don't know what that movie is, you guys don't know much about the Crow movies. Um, the Crow's Salvation movie is a movie where the guy uh, ends up going into an electric chair, ends up getting fried like fried chicken, and then goes in the morgue, and then he starts like flopping some dead skin off of his face, and then like realizes that the weird burns ended up like making his like weird goofy crow makeup for that film, and that's how we get the crow in that movie. And then so the crow just kind of sneaks away. It's very weird. So I'll probably have to go on and review that movie at some point. Maybe it'll actually be trending still. Who knows? Maybe one of the Crow movies might have been trending. Who knows? Maybe. I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched any of those. I like some of them. You could check out I'm sure a playlist or something of me talking about Crow movies and how I enjoyed or thought indifferent about them. Uh, but anyways, let's get more into this review and hullabaloo. So, uh, once we got to the point where Decker turns, he's like, he's got a gun. I started laughing because I was like, yeah, like this is perfect. Decker is chest moving, like, hey man, I want this guy dead. So he definitely, like, dead man tell no tales, and he's not gonna squeal on me, and I'm gonna have a guy to pin all these murders on. So Joyce turns to Decker. It's like, hey, where is the gun? And Decker's like, well, like I saw him like reach into his like coat pocket, so I don't know what he had. So so Joyce is like, oh, all right, so you're gonna play that then, huh? That's what he should have said. So it seems that only Lori is to be the only one who can identify uh seemingly Boone's body. It seems that she's to be the only next of kin here. And then they also have to turn around and have to have an interrogation asking her what her relationship is to the dead body. It's just kind of like, okay, like we're just getting at some point some dialogue here that is to have Lori figure out what Boone was doing, where Boone was going, and she is to turn around and then follow him. But also, there's some just interesting dialogue here where Decker is talking about some people have secret masks or secret faces. And I kind of like that. That was like kind of all just kind of interesting there. Plus, also, like it works with Decker's character because he also has a secret mask face thing, whatever. And there's also some other movies like the Jim Carrey mask movie where they go on and they have Ben Stein talk about masks in that and so on and so forth. There's a lot of stuff that just kind of works in there. But I don't want to take way too much time of that just going into all of that. So while that's going on, the whole interrogation thing, we also have these morticians and they're going and pulling all these bullets out, and we have the one uh mortician that is behind the other guy who's kind of picking all these bullets out. I'm like, man, like they definitely wanted to take no chances with this guy. They want to make sure he was dead. And as they go on this coffee break, I'm like, hey, don't go anywhere. and so they leave. So the bite that is on the shoulder is to start to all of a sudden start to move the body, and then so the rest of the body just starts to jerk and starts to move here, realizing that of course uh Boone is going to become back alive again. So Boone crashes through this window, and Joyce, Lori, and Decker make their way to this morgue where they realize, like, okay, well, obviously Boone's body has disappeared, so we have to investigate this disappearance. So we have Lori that is packing her stuff up, realizing that she needs to go to Midian now. She needs to go on her vacation, technically without Boone here, sadly, as Lori all of a sudden is looking at this window that is open, and these curtains that are kind of swifting in the wind, and she's all of a sudden seeing the ghost of her boyfriend that's just kind of like there. And it's like, hi, I'm a ghost. I'm a ghost of your lover. And Laurie's like, oh, my boyfriend's dead. This sucks. Boo-hoo. Boo on this. Boo. This sucks. Why can't my boyfriend still be alive? Anyways, so this newspaper reads, body of mass murderers stolen from morgue. Or body from mass murderers is stolen from morgue. So Decker is going on, and he's at this table full of knives, because maybe he's going to go on and plot the sequel for Knives Out. So, play on words here. So, Decker is going on and listening to the recordings of, oddly enough, Boone talking about Midian, a place that he's never been to, but it seems that he knows everything about it. So, Boone is going on and talking here, and he all of a sudden talks about how, like, if he is to ever go to Midian, it's a place that will never allow him to die. It's kind of like Sean Connery from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where Sean Connery's like, yes, Africa would never allow me to die. So that's definitely going to lead to a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen sequel, which will never happen. Yeah, that never happened, sadly, because that movie just freaking tanked, and that led to like Sean Connery to be like, well, I guess I'm just gonna retire then, because this is it. Like I can only do like uh the shiest of movies. So, excuse me. I'm still recovering from a cold, so if you hear me sniffle or you hear me again, like I just did there, do a little bit of pow, then my apologies. But regardless, it was bound to happen anyways, with me talking already for 40 some odd minutes. So, Laurie's now on the road again. She's realizing that she's gonna need to find her dead boyfriend. I didn't come up with this song seconds ago, so I don't know how to have words for this again. I'm sure people are loving this aspect of the review. They're like, oh my god, if he could go up with a third one, man, that's going to be a banger. It's going to be some kind of record. Anyways, so Laura makes her way to this place that has to say in big red fat letters bar, but it's also called the Buffalo Days Rodeo. Why can't it have just been called Big Fat Letters Bar? Come on, movie. Let's help a brother out. Anyways, so Laurie makes her way to this big fat bar with letters upon it, but it should really just be called a rodeo, even though it's still in my eyes BAR. So Laurie is talked to the bartender and ask him about Midian. I'm getting my names confused because I know Gideon and I know Midian and I know Obsidian. Anyways, so Balori is going on and talking about Midian. Like, hey, how do I go to this place? And the bartender is like, well, yeah, that seems like a pretty popular topic going on recently because there is uh, a news team that wanted to go on and find where Midian was also to cover this story about this baby killing. So Lori, of course, eventually goes on to become upset as she makes her way to this bathroom. She meets a girl named Cheryl. It's like, well, hey, who could have gone on and made you cry like that? And she's like, oh, my boyfriend. That's what Lori says. And then Cheryl's like, well, Like, what could he have done? Just had you have done that. And Lori's like, well, he died. What she should have said. Logically, that would have been the first thing that would have came to my mind is like, well, he died. That's what he did. But Lori turns around and is talking with Cheryl because she needs a drink. And Lori's filling Cheryl in on what had happened to her. So while that's going on, we have Boone seemingly shirtless but has a leather coat talking to Narcissus and making their way to meet up with Dirk, the guy who I call the leader of the Night Breed group, because it seems like they turn to him for everything, or he's the guy who is to just kind of be like, if anybody, the sheriff of this said Nightbreed town, because he's like, this is the law, like you need to abide by the law. But also, there also is the Baphomet. Baphomet is to be this almost statue-esque like character that these people are to worship and have blood that Boone needs to have be pressed upon his chest to then see if he is worthy or not of being a Nightbreed. And I guess if you don't end up getting worthy, you end up burning your head, it seems, from what we probably see from Ashbury later on in this film. So, but then also it seems that they're worshiping like the tribe of the moon or the gods of the moon, something along those lines. But also Boone, it seems, is to bump into Shuna Sassy. And so Boone ends up asking Narcissus if this Nightbreed member is to have a name. And it's like, well, of course she does. It's Shuna Sassy. How is it that you just don't know that? Yeah. Uh anyway, that's what I wish he would have said. So Boone is to be handed off to Dirk by Kinski, who it seems is like Boone's best man here. It's very weird. But he's like, well, hey, I vouched for this guy. Like, I think that he's going to be a good member of the Nightbreed. I told him about all the rules and the laws and everything. So, so they set him up pretty well to just be like, okay, he's going to become one of us. One of us, one of us. Anyways, pushing on. So, Lori and Cheryl are talking the very next day, and it seems that Cheryl is to have a bit of a hangover. She's to have a good time partying up. So, come to find out, Cheryl had found someone in this bar. It's a guy named Curtis. He's a banker. He just got divorced. And Cheryl's like, I just hit the jackpot. This is gonna be awesome. So Lori and Cheryl make their way to Midian, to this graveyard. And so Cheryl is telling Lori, like, hey, do whatever you need to do to just grieve your man. I'm gonna just be over here just chilling. Whatever. Like, so while Lori starts to make her way into this graveyard, which of course is Midian, Cheryl is looking off in the distance to see this car driving up. It's like, oh, who could this be? It ends up being Curtis. Cheryl ends up saying, oh, hi, Curtis. And Curtis ends up saying, oh, hi, Cheryl. Oh, hi, Mark. Oh, God. Yeah, you're gonna die, lady. You're gonna die. Sadly enough. 2 stars on Yelp. So Lori makes her way through the graves of the yards of the place of the Midian and ends up seeing Babetta. That is this changeling that is to look like if E.T. and a cat had a baby, this would be what this thing was. It's very strange looking. I know a lot of people could immediately just tell me what this monsterish thing is, or just say it's like, oh, well, it was meant to be this in the story because I get it, but it's Babetta. That's how Rachel pronounces it. That's how it's Babetta. It's E.T. and it's a cat rolled into one. It's a really big cat. Also, it's kind of more like a lion cub or something. It's that size. So, and it's also E.T. Ouch. That E.T., if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. So, Rachel is going on and desperately pleading for for Lori to rescue her Babetta. And so Lori is just like, well, I guess this thing is just strange, but I'll just pick it up and just, like, bring it to Rachel. Like she is asking. Even though I'm also just kind of hearing some unusual noises in the background. I'm going to just say, F that noise. I'm going to just take this E.T. cat thing and bring it to Rachel because it's a good thing to do. It's the morally right thing to do, even though I don't know if this thing, when I grab it, is going to touch me and kill me and what. No, it just seems like the morally smart thing to do. But it'll probably cost me. It probably will. No, it'll actually benefit her in the end, because then she'll figure out where Boone is. So, moving on. So, also, big ups to the Berserkers in this movie. They look so awesome and cool, and they also remind me of the Starset song Toxic, except for their big Godzilla looking mothers, but still, like Berserker is Berserker or whatever. Moving on here. So Lori brings E.T. Cat Lady baby to to Rachel. Boo boo kitty lick lick. She bringing that thing. Come on. Anyways, so whatever I'm saying here, it's great. It's a good time. Noodle salad had by all. So so Lori brings Babetta to Rachel, and then we have Onaka, and we have Dirk that comes in, and obviously, like, Dirk is just like, well, hey, you're a human, we're Nightbreed, like, you can't go on and uh and come with us, or like we're not gonna help you figure out where Boone is. So like Lori's like, well, hey, shouldn't I get like a bit of information where Boone is? Because logically, like, I just helped this woman and I just saved Babetta. And Dirk is like, oh, did she? Well, uh like, do you want Babetta for the rest of your life? Will you uh like have this be a life debt and just keep Babetta with you? And Laurie's like, no. Like, are you crazy? And Rachel's like, oh, okay, good, she's actually a nice person. And then Dirk is like, oh, okay, well, uh well then, like, like, our business is done here. So they walk off. And Lori's like, no, like, I still want to know where freaking Boone is. I don't give a what you guys are gonna tell me. I'm going to figure out where this guy is, and obviously he went with you people. So Lori just makes her way down this stairwell where the other Nightbreed had started walking, and this stairwell is full of snakes and all kinds of. So, but Lori's making her way as best possible down the stairwell. So she's met by Peliquin, who ends up telling her, it's like, "Y'all come back now, you hear?" And like starts like out strengthening her and trying to scare her off, and she then is of course scared enough and overpowered enough to just be like, well, I can't get past, so I'm just gonna go back to Cheryl. And when Laurie makes her way back to Cheryl, guess what happens? Cheryl's dead, because we already see some blood on the door. So we're like, looks like something happened. And of course it did. So now Laurie is left to figure out the trail of where the is this dead person at. And Laurie goes on and finds said dead person, seemingly knifed up by this tree. And then when seeing knifed up by the tree woman, Cheryl, sadly enough, R.I.P. Cheryl, Laurie then meets up with Decker. And Decker seems to know Laurie's name. But Laurie's like, well, I don't know what your name is, sir. It's like, oh yeah, you don't know. Well, I'll go on and just remove my mask and show you who I am to answer this ritual of who I am. Because you're probably going to die soon anyways. So, Decker wants to go on and kill Laurie so he can go on and then have Boone have all the motivation to want to go and face off against Decker and have this bout out. So all of this is just to lure Boone in. So Boone is talking to Dirk, and he's telling him, it's like, well, hey, like, I think Laurie is in danger, so I want to go and I want to like look after her and see that she's okay. And Dirk is like, well, hey, she's a human. Like, you're a Nightbreed. Like, the two shall never be mixed. Like, you can't go on. Like, if you do go on, and if you do try to pursue her, like, you will have to go on and leave the Nightbreeds, and probably come back sometime later when the movie really needs you to. Oh, okay, all right, okay. Well, can I just beat up these two other guys in these cloaks that are also Nightbreed guys? And Dirk is like, well, sure, yeah, go ahead. As long as they don't get too injured, you know? Like, we don't need anybody out on workman's comp. So, Dirk goes on and starts beating up these guys, and Laurie uh and Decker are at this chase off or race off between the two of them. So Boone intercepts Decker, and so Decker's just thinking like, oh, well, I'm a little bit of stab happy, so I'll just stab into Boone. Because, like, obviously, like, the normal way of killing a human would be the exact same way to kill an undead person who obviously is a Nightbreed. And I'm sure, like, Decker doesn't know about Nightbreed weaknesses, but eventually he'll find out. Because eventually he'll go into the gas station where the gas station attendant guy goes on and tells him about, like, well, hey, some can die from bullets and some can die from fire. So Boone goes on to be like, ha ha ha, like bullets and swords, or bullets and blades won't work on me. So Boone unmasks Decker and then has him in a chokehold. And Narcissus is like, hey man, just leave him, just leave me his balls, because I want to go on and torture him because of what he did to me at the hospital. So Decker gets away, so Boone is chasing after him, and he's starting to become his alternative self, his more fugly looking self. I say fugly, but then also it looks pretty cool. So his alter ego, that I would assume just rather have called it Cabal, but it doesn't actually make sense because that's his just alternative name, whatever. So It's not his superhero name. So, but while Boone is trying to chase after Decker, he's hearing the screams and cries of his lover, so he goes back to her to come to find that Narcissus had gone on to just kind of get on top of her and wanted to lock lips with her. And Boone is having none of that. And so Narcissus is like, well, hey, I wasn't going to hurt her. Like, I was just going to give her a peck on the cheek and maybe more. Anyways, so Boone is to also have his face all messed up. So Narcissus is like, hey, man, like, you should probably fix your face because she probably won't want to see you like that. So he kind of, and his face is all back to normal. So Boone makes his way back to Dirk, and they talk to him about Bethlehem, and they show like a whole like statue of him, and then they show the life size model, the actual statue that talks to people. So, but I don't think this is the moment where actually Boone gets baptized. I think that happens a little bit later. I think he just needed to see Bethlehem, but I think he actually gets baptized a little bit later here because he still has to go back and find uh, Lori and focus on that. So here is the gas station scene where Decker goes to a place that's just called Gas. So, well, I guess there's a plus sign on top of that. So I guess it's like Gas Plus. I don't know. So Decker makes his way to this gas station, and the more and more that at first Decker is just there for a phone call, it seems that this gas station guy, it seems to more and more let it slip that he knows actually more about the Nightbreed that he's leading on. So Decker is going to call the police station to say, or to call Joyce and the police to say where he is at. He is in Sherneck, and that, like, he had made it to Midian, and it's this graveyard. So the gas station owner, after Decker leaves, is saying like, "Well, I guess it's only a matter of time before they were going to find those guys and finally get to them." So the gas station attendant eventually will realize that he is not alone as Decker kind of creeps up behind him and grabs him, starts interrogating him for questions, and ties him up in Christmas tree lights. So Decker finds out the weakness of these night breeds and every bit about him that he can, and then kills this guy. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I wanted to just kind of cover all this stuff so I get it out of the way. So Lori's in a coffin. She's in a coffin with a room with a bunch of skulls in it. It's very weird, very creepy. So I love skulls, so it wasn't creepy to me, but it's just probably weird to a lot of people. So Lori is going on and talking to Rachel, and Rachel is talking about the Nightbreed and how these people are changelings and that they have all these abilities and powers and whatever, but also that there is very few Nightbreeds actually left because there had been some wars and battles and stuff in the past. To the point where Rachel is having Babetta grab the hand of Lori here to give a showcasing of torturous, horrible things that I guess have happened to Nightbreeds in the past. And we see a line of like people getting like maybe burnt at the stake because they were called witchcraft or crucified and all kinds of other things in between, uh, and horrible acts of kinds. So we have Rachel that tells Lori that Boone has made it to Tabernacle, so that way he will meet with Baphomet to get baptized. And Lori's like, well, that I'm just gonna go on and just and interfere with what Boone is doing because I just want him. I just need him. So Lori leaves as there's no one going to tell her where this whole place is being put together. So Lori meets with Dirk, and Dirk is telling Lori, it's like, well, you're a human, and he's a Nightbreed, and like the two of you can't mix. Yada yada, like basically what like Dirk had said to Boone and this and that. So and also like again we have Dirk that has to tell Lori where Boone is going. He's at the tabernacle and he's doing the whole baptizing procedure. Yeah, blah 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 blah. So as Lori goes onto herself to just make her way through Midian, we have Leroy, the guy that has these kind of weird, goofy alien things that comes out of his chest, and they look like eyes, but then also they poke out the eyes of other people. It's very weird, very strange. So I'm sure that'll be a theme for this video. This was yucky, whatever. So Leroy is saying like, well, like, I guess there goes the neighborhood. So Lori is to start to follow a guy that has a white shirt and blue jeans and immediately thinks that this is Boone, because I guess there's no other white guys in this place. So Lori chases after this guy, and that leads to her meeting with Peliquin, where Peliquin's like, well, hey, you want to join the family? So Decker is going on and speaking with Inspector Joyce. So the two of them are talking, and eventually this Captain Edgerton from Sureneck is to come in there and be like, well, hey, this is technically my jurisdiction, and Royce is like, or Joyce is like, well, that's all good and great and everything, but like, hey, like, the whole happening of Boone's body going missing was actually technically on my time, so like, it's your case, but it's also my case. So but there's also a lot of dialogue here that I'm just going to speedball through. A lot of this dialogue is actually really good. It's worth the watch, but I'm just not going to mention any of it, so I can just fast track here, so I can just bend some time here at my will. So Lori goes through and finds another batch of, I'm sure, creepy and ugly people because she has to continue to just find that. So Lori mixes it up with Narcissus, as Narcissus is now dancing around with a skeleton corpse bride. And Lori is like, well, hey, like I saw you before, like, hey, I'm gonna go on and I'm gonna uh, I'm gonna figure out how I can get to where Boone is. And Narcissus is like, hey, do not go any further because you're going to head into the area where all the berserkers are, and you don't want that. Because those guys, they're unhinged and they're crazed and they're wild and they're whatever. So don't go that way. So Lori ends up ignoring Narcissus' plea and she goes where the berserkers are anyways. Onaka follows her. and Narcissus ends up having this line about, like, oh, you have these nice tattoos, you sailor. So Lori, come to find out, ends up getting grabbed by the berserkers from below and then from the side. Onaka comes in and is to throw shade to the berserker, so they let Lori go. And Lori ends up thanking Onaka, and then Onaka's like, okay, follow me. I'll take you to Boone. So Boone is supposedly getting baptized by Bethlehem, and so Boone and Lori end up meeting back up together, and as Boone ends up getting hauled away after being baptized, Peliquin is in the background just going on and like looking like, well, I guess he couldn't have taken the heat. So Boone and Lori leave because, of course, with Lori being an outsider, Boone can't stand to be uh, having Lori with her and have him be with the outsiders. It just doesn't work that way. So they're booting him out. So we now have the sweet grass inn, and this woman is having this weird, like sweet roll or something, some kind of weird uh treat of sorts, and she all of a sudden is going on and asking for a guy named Arnie while she's on the phone. So she eventually goes on to drop this seemingly candy or sweet concoction all onto the ground. And then she's like, oh man, I'm having to clean this up. And she's like flopping it onto the table. And like, she's like, oh, this is so gross. Ugh, this is so gross. Yeah. So just wait till the grossness of which that you come on with the table with. Like, come on down. Like, you're the next contestant and you're going to see a head. Not the good head, the bad head. Sadly enough for you. So, this woman ends up seeing a pair of legs dangling. Or no, wait, not dangling, but she sees some pair of legs standing next to this table, and so this woman pokes her head up to find there is a head there and no person to match it with. So this woman screams in fear, backs away to find that Decker is behind her, stabbing into her chest, killing her, and boom goes the dynamite. So Boone and Lori drive their way to the Sweetgrass Inn, and Decker's looking out like, ha 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 ha, like I'm gonna pin all these murders on you. Because again, since I can't go on and seemingly having you die, like I'm gonna just keep continuing to pin all these murders on you because now you're a serial murderer and you're continuing hopping around to kill more people. So Lori and Boone make their way to their room, and Boone is telling Lori that he smells blood. I'm sure it's just somebody that's having their time of the month. No. So Lori goes in the room and is to notice a big freaking hole that is to be punched through one room to the other, forcing them Boone to investigate to find that there are a number of men all murdered within this room, and he is starting to freak out from all the blood. He is starting to take a big whiffy, stiffy, freaking smell of all this, and he is starting to turn into his alter ego, his darker side. And Lori, as she enters the room, seeing that Boone is trying to hide himself, she's like, well, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm trying to help myself. You shouldn't see, like, don't see. As he starts to turn, he eventually turns to Lori. She sees everything, and he tells her to leave the room. As Boone is so tempted to just start to lick all of the blood off the ground and maybe nibble and eat some folks. So the cops come. There's like a whole SWAT team and everybody coming just for Boone, because they dedicated this one out to Boone. So what am I saying here? So Boone makes his way to the jail, the prison, the clink clink. So Boone is seemingly met off to the side by a priest named Ashbury, who just consistently wants to put his nails into the palm of his hand, to where he makes his hand start to bleed because he's crazy, he's wild, he's Ashbury. So Boone goes into prison, and he ends up getting beaten up by El Capitan, Edgerman. And so Edgerman is like, well, yeah, I'm gonna beat you up because of all the things that you did. And so he starts just beating the crap out of him. I'm really wanting to say this is more the fact that uh that really Boone is a Nightbreed instead of him just being a murderer. Because I'm like, man, does he just do this to like all the other people that has ever murdered in his precinct? Like to make a like, is he making an example of this specific prisoner? Oh well, whatever. So the captain goes off to make a phone call and is talking to Decker, and Decker is going on and talking about how Boone wasn't alone, how Gideon is to possibly have like some underground uh, people that are there, and the captain is talking to Decker about that being crazy talk. Joyce is like, well, hey, yeah, crazy or not, like, I want to go on and do an investigation to see if this has any truth or weight to any of this. And the captain's like, well, hey, if you see anything more than two eyes and nose, then if anything, I'll bring some officers with you so you can make sure that this is definitely taken care of. So one of the officers lets a doctor in to inspect Boone. The doctor starts to go on and has a device to measure Boone's heart rate, and then goes on to check his hand, coming to find out that neither one of them show any pulse whatsoever. So the doctor, freaked out by all this, decides that he's going to go on to the captain while he's doing a press conference and tell him like, hey man, like you need to see this, like this guy does not have a pulse. So the captain, now freaked out by this news, rushes his way to Decker to like, hey man, like this guy doesn't have a pulse, like what are we dealing with here? So Joyce and these officers make their way to Gideon, the graveyard. So the officers are going on and talking like they're never going to find anything in here, and they might as well just call it a day now. So they're all going on and they're saying all this stuff because they're smoke screening, because actually they are going on to find one of the Nightbreed, and they force him out to the light, and he starts cooking up. He starts fried chickening, and Joyce is kind of looking at this guy and he's like, well, I don't know if we should do this. Like, I think this is probably wrong. So, but they let him just continue to cook anyways. So they kill this guy, and they're like, well, I guess one way to beat these things is by sunlight. So, like, and we're only going to have that for a certain number of hours. So the cops make it back to their cop car to find that it is burst into flame by seemingly narcissist who has gone on to uh, put gas and light it on fire. So, well, allegedly, I don't know. It doesn't actually have shown that, I think, in the movie at any point. So, Excuse me. So luckily, the radio still works, and so they get on the radio and are to relay what happened. So now the captain, Edgerton, or Edgerman, is, because of this weird threat of a Nightbreed that is to burst into flame by the sight of the uh, by the side of the sun. Edgerman makes his way to Ashbury, the drunken priest that he just needs. So the captain tells Ashbury, like, hey, get all the crosses, get all the Bibles, get all the holy water, get everything that you can possibly need, because we need God on our side. As we start to get everybody in the community all together to start being handed these machine guns and all of these weaponries, and we have this police officer who's turning to Boone and telling him, like, yeah, we're going after your guys, we're gonna murder him, we're gonna kill him. And Boone is just like, yeah, whatever, like, I'm just gonna stay here and I'm just gonna just chillax. So because there's nowhere where he can go. So Narcissist finds where Lori is and picks her up, as Rachel is just kind of hiding herself because she's afraid that she could die in the sun. So Narcissus makes his way to the police station and breaks into the door and takes out one of the officers. And where the room is to get to Boone's cell, it's a little bit hard. There's a locked door there. It's a locked door in between all of this. So what happens is we have Rachel. She ends up turning into a big ball of smoke and is to appear without clothes on, but she still has her weird braids in her hair. And that could be a big problem to a lot of people. Like, hey, man, that doesn't make any sense. She can't wear clothes, but then she can go on and wear like things in her hair. That doesn't make any sense. How does that not work? So, or how does that work? Anyways, so Rachel tells this officer that she doesn't want to hurt him, so she kisses him, and then there's just smoke coming out of his mouth. So, oh, Boone and Lori have this makeout session, and Narcissus is like, well, hey, man, cut it out. Like, you're not going to have time to do what I think that you want to do, so, like, we gotta go. So, Ashbury and Decker in the back seat of this cop car. So, Ashbury's having this, uh, section of the Bible talking about Gideon, and they make their way to this graveyard. So they start placing all kinds of mimes and bombs and landmines and all these hullabaloo things every goddamn where. And they have a guy like Ashbury who almost trips on one of the bombs and like, hey man, like, so they're just planning all these things and heaven forbid anybody to know where they all are. But hey, more explosions could be a thing in the future, anyways, right? For this film, that's all that matters. Is like how many explosions can we can we really have? So, so Narcissist and Boone, like they're driving as quickly as they can to the graveyard because they realize like, okay, we're only X miles away, so we need to get there as soon as possible. So Decker makes his way to his kit that has his mask and his killing tools. Joyce makes his way to uh to Decker's car, and Decker ends up showing Joyce the mask and the weapons, and as Joyce turns, we have Decker that slices into this guy and kills him. And I'm like, oh man, that sucks. Like, I wish that he would have lasted towards the end, but I guess they probably didn't care much about this character because I don't think they used him effectively enough. So, by the time Boone and people are racing off to make their way to the graveyard is to be exploded uh, because they had set off all these charges. So, Midian is now getting caved in. Uh, we start to see some of the Nightbreed underground just freaking out, and so, but also some of the Nightbreed are kind of taking it upon themselves of like, hey man, we're gonna attack, we're gonna start like going after people. So all right, so uh Poliquin, let me say this right. I gotta look at the names. uh Peliquin, my bad. Peliquin ends up jumping onto one of these cars as the car kind of kicks him off. The guy ends up crashing through the ground into the hideout of the Nightbreed, and I think the car ends up exploding. Uh, but that part I don't quite remember. So we have Boone that makes it to the rest of the group, and here's where he's like rallying the troops, like, "Hey guys, we gotta fight!" And we have Leroy and Devil Rude, and they're like, well, what kind of weapons do we really have? And then Leroy kind of pops like his weapons out of his chest, like, well, hey, here's my weapons. So Ashbury is going on and just kind of Dispiritu Sante, one of these dead people, and Leroy ends up bumping into what, of course, Decker. So we have Boone that is telling all the Nightbreeds, like, well, hey, like, we need to come up with some kind of weapons for you all. So we have these coffins. Why not start breaking them apart and use them technically as weapons until we can get a shotgun or something more substantial away from these guys to fight fire with fire? Because there's fire throwers and all kinds of things. So, excuse me. So I am trying to figure out what's going on here. And I really need to use my eyes here. So I have no clue. All right, well, we'll just go to this. So, yeah, I have no idea what these pictures are. Yeah, let me pause here for a second. All right, back at zero. Yeah. So what ended up happening was while I was pausing, is the video just stopped, because there's sometimes where like I God I'm having so much problems just to try to do this one video. Hopefully it feels worth it, because if it isn't, then I'll just cry afterwards, or whatever. So Laurie ends up saving the child, uh, Babetta, and there ends up getting or there ends up having a human come in with this gun, wanting to blast uh, this kid, and Rachel ends up having her fist appear in this guy's chest, and he dies because of it. So Captain Edgerman is going on, and he's in the throes of battle here, and that all of a sudden has Boone uh, going on and meeting up with, uh, seemingly being close quarters with the captain and Ashbury, and Ashbury ends up talking to Boone about like, well, hey, can I go with you? And Boone's like, well, hey, we don't have priests come with us, and Ashbury throws his church uh, white uh, priest part of clothing off, and he's like, well, hey, like, I just want to go with you. I just want to see what this is about. So Boone is like, all right, you can go with us. So as these guys are going on, these police officers are going and they're shooting down some of these Nightbreed. We have Shuni that ends up attacking one of the police officers with her porcupine, uh like, pokers, and pokes one of the guys, and he goes down. I think Kane ends up getting infatuated by Shuni, and like, she's starting to dance, she's doing this seductive thing. He gets suckered in, and he ends up getting attacked and by these porcupines, by these needles. That's what I wanted to say. These needles, and he ends up going down. So Boone and Ashbury, they're walking along, and so Boone meets up with Dirk. And so Boone is like, well, hey, like, we need the numbers. Like, what else can we just uh, bring out here to face off against these guys? And Dirk ends up mentioning about the berserkers. And he's like, well, I don't know if this berserker should be a good thing, because they're not so easily controlled. And Boone is like, it doesn't matter. Let's use them. Like, all we just need is bodies. Like, the berserkers are strong. Like, we just we just need we just need the numbers. So Dirk goes on to unlock the door for the berserkers. So the berserkers go on and they start realizing that they're going to be freed, and all of a sudden this guy with this laser pointer gun, this laser shot, he ends up calling out, hey, Moses, and Dirk turns him and he gets shot in the head. And all of a sudden this weird creepy night fuel monster comes out of nowhere, comes out of three different sets of parts, and chomps into this thing. I think the very first time I saw this movie, that was the one goofy scene that I got weirded out about, of like, man, that is some nightmare fuel. So we have Boone that makes his way back to Dirk, opens up the gate for the berserkers. So the berserkers start like funneling in where Boone is. So Boone starts to grab ceiling and has all the berserkers start to head out. And so he's like, all right. So the berserkers, the very first thing I see them do is one of the berserkers latches their hand out to grab one of the guys in the crotch and take him down that way. And then the berserkers start really just beating the out of all these guys. There's a guy with a flamethrower, and they end up going on, and the Nightbreed start to take guys like that out. The captain is still going on and trying to face off against all of these monstrous things, but realizing since the berserkers are now out that, like, well, yeah, like I'm starting to run out of ammo, and he's calling uh for other officers to kind of give him some kind of weaponry. And one of the officers is like, well, hey, I'm gonna take my car and back the heck out of here because these berserker guys, like, oh my god, like they're hulk they're Hulk like characters. So the officer starts to drive off, and the captain is upset for this guy doing so. The berserkers take this guy's car and lift it up, and then it explodes. So Laurie finds Peliquin. Peliquin is to show Laurie this cave drawing of the fact of the matter of, like, that Peliquin had probably uh, been the Nightbreed person who had fulfilled this cave drawing, this prophecy. And Peliquin thinks that Boone is to deliver the end of the Nightbreed. So come to find out, Decker is to face off against Narcissist, and Decker ends up having Narcissist's head. So now, of course, we have to have Boone that is to face off against Decker here, and it's a very long, drawn out process. This big fight. So the two of them fall through the ground, and then they're fighting through Midian, and Boone ends up hitting uh, Decker with this skull. Decker stabs uh, Boone with this knife, and weirdly, also Boone ends up getting this playing card stuck on his chest, and he ends up just kind of flopping it off later on, but it just kind of looks comedically funny. So Boone also is to throw a mirror uh, at Decker, trying to figure out a way to kill him here. So eventually, Boone ends up taking off the mask of Decker and tossing him in hopes that he's legitimately going to be dead. So Boone now needs to make his way to Bethlehem as Ashbury is to follow him. So we have Boone that is to finally talk with Bethlehem, and so Bethlehem is to call Boone now Cabal, and is telling him, like, well, hey, like, at one point in the future, like, you're going to need to find me, and you're going to need to help me. And, like, he says this in a way that kind of repeats or loops over and over again. I don't know why, but that's what he says. And he probably doesn't say it in the exact way that I'm saying here. I'm paraphrasing heavily here. So, but also, uh Boone was thinking that Bethlehem, because he was talking to Dirk, Boone thought that Bethlehem was going to explode the whole entire Midian, because it seems that Bethlehem was having his blood uh, like start to boil. So they were thinking that Bethlehem was just going to go with the nuclear option. And so everybody is starting to realize that maybe they should go on and start scrambling out of here. So Ashbury goes on to touch the bowl that has Bethlehem's blood, and Ashbury ends up burning his skull and loses all of his hair because of it, and he ends up looking very weird and very bald and interesting. So, so Laurie ends up finding a knife that I think was Decker's. Like, all right, well, I'm keeping this just in case they have to like defend their way out of there. So, uh, Midian ends up completely like exploding. Like we see a huge bowl or huge ball of fire uh when both Boone and or Cabal, I guess at this point, Cabal and Lori leave. They're seeing this huge explosion. So whoever's to all have gotten out had made their way to this barn, and it seems that Ashbury had also gotten out. So Lori now wants to become a Nightbreed like Cabal, because she's like, well, hey, like I know the two of us, like it won't work out, and it seems that you're gonna go on this mission and rebuild your people, and I can't be included in that. So I'm gonna just go on and stab myself. So you're gonna have to go on and bite me, so I will become one of you. So Lori goes on, stabs herself in the chest, falls back. Boone bites her. He's like, well, I hope that that'll take. And then he thinks that she's dead. But no, she comes back and she's like, all right, well, I guess I'm one of you then. So the captain, now all very disheveled and looking now at Ashbury, and Ashbury ends up becoming a much more confident looking character. It seems like he has a plan, and the captain is looking at Ashbury. It's like, can I go with you? And Ashbury ends up lifting the captain and choking him and killing him. So it's like, well, yeah, I guess that's not going to happen. So, so Kinski and Rachel are talking about Boone and Lori about how they're going to go on and they're going to rebuild the Nightbreed and this and that, and they're kind of talking about uh, the finishing up of this whole thing, and we see uh, like Laurie and Boone just kind of looking up at the stars, and that's how they wrap up this film. So with that said, I'm gonna get the heck out of here, so that way I can have to fuse all this crap together. I see all this crap together. I'm just so tired at this point. Um, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you for going on and listening to all this. Thank you for going on and dealing with me trying to mad scramble and figure out what the heck to freaking say at certain points, because I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know where I need to go at certain points. So definitely go on and tune into the entire film. Specifically, if you're relying on me for any information at any point, I'm trying to just do my best. But then also there's just mess ups that happen. There's just all kinds of just technical difficulties that end up happening on a day to day basis. I'm trying to just do my best to just be more consistent in putting on videos. And then also realizing that Nightbreed may just be one of those where no one really cares. And if this video does do well, uh, I really will just go on and just be so happy uh, that I justified this time to do this video because I'm thinking that it's not going to be worth it. But logically, again, I can finish this up and realize that I'm gonna have to go on and like I'm gonna have to do this all over again the following day. So, with that said, regardless, it's still to be good that I uh, do things that I can be more positive about. Because there would be so many times where I would just be like, man, like I know that this movie's gonna be garbage, but I have to review it anyways. Or there'd just be a lot of times where I felt that I was doing reviews for obvious reasons, instead of just doing a movie that I knew I was going to enjoy. There was an agenda behind it, and it sucked. I hated that. But at least I'm being honest about it. At least, uh, what will that really do for me? Not a lick of nothing. Uh, but at the end of the day, like I just got to keep doing content. I just got to keep doing content. Just keep going, and uh, and so this will be one of those. So with that said, with my crazed ramblings of a guy that just keeps doing these movies, even though logically, like his heyday was definitely not yesterday, but um, in all honesty, like the channel has been going way better than it has been in a very long time. Uh, like actually getting like a couple hundred of views on one video is like wow, like this tells me that there could be some momentum there. But then again, I could probably easily f that up. I know I can. I've done it too many times at this point now. Because I ended up doing like selfishly um, certain reviews that it's like, are people really gonna watch this? Uh, but I just like that. I just there's a lot of times where I have an itch and I need to scratch it. And there are days where I just weirdly have a feeling or a belief that a video is the best thing I need to do for that day, regardless of it making sense. I just have this weird gut feeling that it's like I need to put this video out. Um, and surprisingly, like from the randomest things that I find on YouTube, uh, to put out on uh, finding apps and whatever that have them, I can watch them and whatever. Um, these things are just like, how did this happen? So maybe this may be one of those, and I would be grateful for however anyone is to go on, and even if it's just one view, at least it's something. Because I'm at least happy that like it seems that none of the stuff lately has had a zero view. One is better than none. So thank you for going on and consistently watching all of these because I am internally grateful. Regardless of the stupid I say, because I am so effing tired. So goodbye, everybody. Bye, everybody.